everybody, welcome to the Good Evening Kitties podcast, a Tales from the Crypt review. My name is Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest. Today's episode is Season 3, Episode 12, Deadline. Today I have with me my friend Tom to help me guest host. Hey Tom!
What's going on?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Good, thanks for coming out here.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any history with the Tales from the Crypt?
I do not. I remember seeing the host when I was a kid.
Yep.
And he creeped the shit out of me, so...
Yep.
I watched the episode Friday, and it was interesting.
And that was your first episode ever?
That was the first one I ever saw.
Do you think that you would go on to watch some of the other ones?
I absolutely would, yeah.
Awesome.
It would be one of those mystery science theater things that I do, though.
You like making fun of it?
Yeah. Especially the host of the show.
His
little puns.
His little puns.
Those are hilarious.
He's kind of asking for it. Some of the episodes get really, like, it's just one after another. If you roll your eyes too hard, they're going to fall out of your head. But yeah, so again, this episode is Season 3, Episode 12, Deadline. I'll talk a little bit about the episode here. As always, John Kassir does the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and Danny Elfman does the theme song. This episode aired August 14th, 1991. It was directed by Walter Hill, who also directed the movie Brewster's Millions. The screenplay is written by Mae Woods and Walter Hill. It stars Richard Jordan from movies like Logan's Run, Joe Polito from movies like Barton Fink, Richard Hurd from movies like Wolf Lake, John Capodice, or Capodice? I don't know. From Ace Ventura Pet Detective, which is what I knew him from. Rutanya Alda from Amityville 2, The Possession, and Mark Helgenberger from TV CSI Crime Scene Investigation. It's kind of a bigger cast for this one.
Yeah.
So let me read the description here on the back of the box here for Deadline. A washed-up reporter will get his job back if he files a murder story. All he needs is a victim and a perp.
As I was watching it, I did like the throwback. It was kind of like a macabre homage to Ace in the Hole by, I forget the guy's name, something Wilder. But it was an old noir film where it's this, again, washed-up reporter, and he finds a miner who's stuck inside of a mine after a collapse, and he's wasting away, about to die, and the reporter is just milking him for every last drop of story that he can get out of this guy. So that's his bid to get back on top of the world. And
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that, yeah. Definitely. So, let's see, we'll go ahead and get started here. I really liked the intro for this one. I thought it was rather elaborate. You haven't seen the other episodes, but they always have different parts in the scenes of the crypt. But this one, they actually have a full-size bar with people, there's skeletons.
And the waiter.
Yeah, there's a waitress is skeleton. He's bartending, the Crypt Keeper. And I really like it because, they really went all out, which I was kind of surprised because, this one does take place in a bar, but it's it's not the main thing. So I thought it was kind of weird that this is the whole thing they focused on, but...
Yeah, I think it would be, now that you say that, I probably would have been confused watching other episodes of this and not seeing the main theme of the story that they're about to tell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely check out some of the other stuff. There's, the Reluctant Vampire, it starts out with him dressed up as a little vampire and all that stuff, and he's reading how to, be a professional vampire, this book, and of course there's tons of puns and things like that. I don't know. But, yeah, so, it's always something a little different each time.
Okay.
So he's making drinks, and they have all the fun, what's that stuff called? The, liquid nitrogen fog stuff.
The dry ice.
Dry ice, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so they got the dry ice going, and he's bartending, and I just thought it was really elaborate, and so he pulls out his big book that usually has the cover of the comic book on it, which I think this one probably does too. I think each one does. Yes. Okay. So they usually have a comic book intro.
Okay.
So that's what that is there. And so this one opens up, there's a guy named Charles McKenzie, and he's talking about, he's sitting there, and he's it's in I guess, you'd think it's a dark room kind of thing, but he's in his suit, and he's sitting there talking about a story he was trying to get.
I read the description of it on Amazon Prime, which unfortunately didn't have it, but I read the description and it said an alcoholic journalist, and so when it opened up with him just kind of talking, since you only see his head and about a third of his neck, of his chest, he looks like he's in an AA meeting. You know,
yeah, that's
just
true.
describing the glory days.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I mean, that's everything like in the show, because a lot of these shows have a twist ending. So even from like the very beginning, you're like, okay, well, they're only showing him from the neck up, kind of, or the shoulders up.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of watching that, but it kicks into him like going back to tell the memory of his story and what's going on, and it cuts to a bar, and the bartender's getting all the drinks ready, cleaning out the cups and things like that. And Charles McKenzie's there, and he's an alcoholic, and he has drinking problems, and it's getting to where, I think it's getting to where it's kind of cutting into his job. Like, he's not...
Yeah, it seems like he's not able to hold down a job anymore, and he's friends with the bartender, which, you know, they have that whole dynamic where the bartender's trying to, like, hey, look, quit giving me money. Get your head right.
Which I did appreciate. I was like, that's a good bartender. Because some of them would just be like, give it to you, so whatever. The fact that he's like, you need to slow it up. This is getting embarrassing.
Yeah.
He's really supposed to be getting to his job, but he's like, you know what? I have time for one more drink. And the bartender's like, nah, why don't you get a cup of coffee? Which really, I don't find that would really sober people up a whole lot. It just makes you have to pee more, right?
Yeah, it wakes you up more. It doesn't.
I guess.
But I've also never met a bartender that goes, hey, look, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you any more booze.
That's what I thought was interesting about it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. And yeah, so he gets really mad because the guy's telling him, you know, maybe you need to get a job, you need to clean yourself up. And he's all like, you know, spouting off everything he's done in his career and how he doesn't need to take this. And okay, so this part made me laugh because Mark Helgenberger, I believe this is the actress here. And so she's at the bar by herself. I thought it was kind of like he immediately walks up and calls her a hooker.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's a good way to...
Yeah, the writing there was kind of confusing. Like, you look like a prostitute. Oh. Buy me a drink, sailor.
She's like, all right. Well, she's like, well, what makes you think that? And he's just like, well, because you're alone in a bar. And I'm like, maybe she just wanted to be alone. I mean, it's true. She could be a sex worker. I mean, maybe this is like a real smoky... It's kind of a smoky, dingy bar with just a bunch of guys, so I could kind of see it. But to, like, come up in the first thing you say... Be like, you're a hooker, right? And she's just like, thanks, appreciate it.
What's a pretty lady like you doing in here? Waiting for somebody?
Nobody special.
See, I'm a reporter. Always trying to get at the facts. Now, good-looking girl, sitting in a Skid Row bar alone. There's a good chance she's a hooker.
Even though it's none of your business, I'm not for hire.
She's sitting there smoking at the bar, and he's trying to woo her, saying he's this great reporter, and he comes in here on business, and all this stuff like that. And really, I guess, I mean, because I don't think he has a job, so I guess he's just trying to be like, trying to throw his weight around, I guess, to get her in bed. Yeah. And he buys her a drink and stuff, and it, for the most part, it works. He's walking her home, or walking her back to his place after they leave the bar. And in this episode, too, he's doing a lot of, like, inner narration. So there's, like, a lot of that. Like, I had a previous episode, the one right before that, too, Split Second, I just did that. She did a lot of inner dialogue. And so, like, he's basically talking about, I don't know, I think he said he's been married, like, 4 times or something. Yeah, he said she was really great. He really likes her.
I mean, I've always been a ladies' man. I never had any trouble meeting them. Lots of girlfriends, a couple of wives. After a while, they all drifted away. Women didn't seem so important anymore. It was a booze, I guess.
He says he's had a lot of girlfriends and a couple of wives, and out of all of them, this new chick has made him feel better, you know.
That's the classic, oh, I've never felt better in my life. Everything's gonna be different now. Is it really? Yeah.
And so she goes home with him, and they sleep together. The next morning, he's getting ready. Okay, yeah, so she's getting ready and getting dressed, and he likes her. He's like, well, why don't we have lunch and stuff? And she's basically letting him know this is probably more of a one-night stand. I don't really even think she's a sex worker, because I don't think he pays her or anything, really, but she was just saying, like, I was just out here to have a good time. I don't like to get tied down. And
just looking for a nice little night of fun.
Yeah, just want to have a good time. I did appreciate her honesty. You know, she was just like, this is what's going down.
The constant brushing of the hair mid-sentence kind of threw me off, though.
Yeah, because some of it, too, I was like, okay, good. Like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, good. She's setting the boundary. Like, this is what we're doing. And then he immediately plays her the same way and, like, reverse psychologies it to where she's like, it irritated me. Because it was like, then he's like, oh, well, yeah, we did have a good time. Okay, well, there's the door. And she's like, what? Like, you don't like me? And then she's immediately like, oh, we can hang out. And I'm like, oh, God.
Well, I thought about that too, and it seemed like she gets the impression that they're on the same wavelength. Mm-hmm. She's like, okay, well, if this is what that guy wants, and it seems like it's the same thing that I want, then yeah.
I just thought it was weird how quickly she turns it. But I mean, I understand it's like a 26-minute episode. They only have so much time. Because there's been other episodes too where it's like, she'll be like, no, I don't want to kiss you. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, I kiss you? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And I'm like, okay, that was quick.
It's a very 1920s way of treating romance. Shut up, dame.
Well, and then they kiss and like they always just like move their heads a lot. And so it cuts to his job, which I loved this scene, just all the old computers.
Yeah.
And all that. And everyone's just, like, I watched this with Mike when we watched it. And he's like, it's so loud. Like, how would you get anything done? Like, everyone's all up on each other's butts. Like, it's just desks after desks. And everyone's walking around talking. There's paperwork everywhere.
The monitors alone just being so... I'm looking at it going, that is so much wasted space.
Yeah, they're so huge and boxy, but the screen's so small.
Yeah.
And everyone's just running around at this reporter place talking about different stories, and the phones are going off the hook, and it's just like, yeah, I can't see how you would get a whole lot done. Nowadays, there's more, at least you have like a cubicle or something in the way where you can't always see everyone.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you have those noise-canceling headphones, so you can just head down, work on whatever it is you're doing.
See, that's the thing, too, is I'm so used to... Like, where I work, I can listen to podcasts and music and stuff. Mm-hmm. For the most part. There are some things like I can't. But, like, it helps with the day so much that I think it would drive me crazy if I didn't.
It's the same way with me. I have to occasionally take my headphones off to charge them.
Oh, yeah.
And in those 15 minutes, I'm just sitting there and I hear other people click-clacking around on their computers.
Yeah.
And I hear people over there doing the exact same thing I'm doing, which... with my headphones on, which is just clearing my throat.
I know, I feel bad when I do that too. I'm like, am I doing it too much?
Yeah, and I just want to stand up and go, shut it! This is very, very early 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, 91.
Yeah. Okay, so this is...
All the women have like the big, thick glasses. And
the shoulder pads.
The shoulder pads, yeah. So it's at the reporting place, and he comes in and he doesn't really work there anymore, I don't think, but he wants to make an appointment with the boss to try to, to just get him some help, get him a story, something that he can check out and show that he really still has it.
Yeah.
And can get back to getting a job again. And so he's talking to the boss, his name is Phil, and he's like,
I need a job.
I wish I could, Charlie, but I'm up to my armpits here.
Things are gonna be different. I'm gonna quit drinking.
Yeah? I heard that one before. Nothing ever changed.
Look. I met this girl. She made me see I've been wasting myself. I still got a lot to give. All I want is another chance. I'm a damn good reporter. You know that, Phil.
All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a trial run. You want a job? Well, you go out there and you prove to me that you can still bring in a story.
Damn right. I'll get you a page one break.
Now, bring me a murder, Charlie. Something juicy.
And Phil's just like, Charlie, we're really busy, as you can see, and they are, really. I mean, they must be a pretty popular newspaper.
Yeah, the guy's, running around, thumbing through what looked like thumbnails.
And I think they hit a lot of the important crime-related stuff. I think it's not just, any story. I think they want to get the breaking news on homicides and things like that. So then that's what bugs me, too, about this. I mean, people do this all the time, but where he's like, oh, I met this woman. She's wanting me to she makes me want to change myself. And it's like, don't put it all on this lady.
Yeah, That's the thing a lot of alcoholics do, and addicts in general, is they'll find someone to latch on to, and then they'll just ride on that coattail to help them get through without actually doing the work.
Well, and it's just a lot of pressure for her, and she's not even really, she's interested in a sexual hangout relationship, but that's pretty much it. And he's all like, oh, we're gonna do all this stuff together, and she's so great, and she makes me want to be a better man, and she's like, what?
Which is even shittier for him as his character, because throughout the episode he keeps saying, look, we're not getting married, we're not getting engaged, we're just saying, but he keeps going, this is the one, this is the one, this is the one.
He's still like, well, maybe down the road we will. And so Phil breaks down and decides to give him a trial job, bring in a really good breaking story right at the moment, but he wants a murder, so he's like, I want something that's really gonna get it, which I'm like, that's kind of hard to
that is a really niche market to fill. I
guess I'll just hang around a really scary alleyway. I'm just Like, I don't know how you would find one. So now this part kind of irritated me too. He's not a great guy.
No, he's really not.
He's not. And I think this is his ex.
No, it's his sister.
Oh, it's his sister?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, so that's his sister.
At least that's what I was getting from
Okay. So he shows up at this woman's house. Yeah, and she was like, oh, look, you're back again. And he needs his rent for the month because he can't afford anything. And so this lady's been giving him like $500 a month for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is her sister. I don't know why I didn't catch that. Okay. So, yeah, his sister. And his poor sister is having to give, like, at least, yeah, like $500 every month. And he probably doesn't pay her back.
No.
And he keeps telling her things are changing. I got a job, which really, not really. I mean, you got a chance is what you got.
You know, you'd think you'd come and visit me every once in a while just to make it look good, but no. You just show up for the rent money.
Listen, it's not like I don't have any feeling for you.
This is the last time, Charlie. You know, you've been hitting me up for $500 every month, and I've been sucker enough to give it to you, but this is it. Don't come back anymore.
Listen, get off your high horse. You got it all wrong. You get a disability pension, I get nothing. I'm gonna be out there pounding the pavement night and day.
I've heard enough. You got the money, just go.
I did like how, you know, she told him off and she was like, this is it. This is the last I'm going to give you. And I felt bad, too, because she mentions that this is, like, part of her disability pension that he's taking from.
And he's the one, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's her disability pension. She's got something going on with her.
Yeah, she's got her
And
own problems.
Yeah, he's guilt-tripping her with, look, you got disability. I'm out there hitting the bricks. So,
Yeah.
Are ya?
It's like, no, you're probably going to pay your rent and then whatever you have left, if you pay your rent, spend it on alcohol. But he's saying he's going to be clean. Like, this is his first day of sobriety, so... And her name is Mildred. All right. Mildred and Charles. And so he goes to the bar, which is weird, to tell everyone that he's going to be sober. Because, I mean, I guess that's where all his friends are. And she's there. Vicky is the woman he slept with. And so Vicky's there again the next night. He comes in and he's like, I'm swearing off drinking. He tells the bartender that. The bartender's like, great. And what annoys me, too, is he tells her that he got a cash advance.
Yep. Yeah, that annoyed the hell out of me as well.
Like, oh my gosh. He's so bad. And I love that the bartender's such a nice guy. He's just like, that's great, man.
He really is. He's just... You could sell that man a horse if you wanted.
He was just like, that's great, man, because, like, you're a piece of shit. So... And so they go home again to get together, I guess the next night, they go home together again, and they're talking about all the just stuff he does with his job, and she's like, you know, have you really stopped drinking? And even after only knowing him a little bit, she's like, yeah, I thought you might have had a problem.
Yeah.
It was like, well, honey, you're picking him up at the bar, you know, like, what are you expecting to find?
Yeah, she picked him up at the bar after he had pretty much gotten cut off by the bartender.
Yeah. Had he had, like, one more drink, he probably would have been passed out. And he's talking about how he's going to get this big story, and she lights up another cigarette.
Apparently he bought her earrings.
No, I think he's going to.
Yeah.
He's promising her all this stuff. I mean, really, he shouldn't even get this chance,
No,
sounds
he
like.
shouldn't,
Luckily,
but...
I mean, that Phil guy just was like, they've known him for so long. So now Charlie's back at his place of work, because now technically to get the story, he has to be there, I guess,
right.
Answering phones. And so he's trying to get leads, I guess, on a murder or something that would be juicy that he could go check it out. He can't seem to really find anything.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because nobody wants to talk to him. Just the recurring theme, you know, when he goes to his former place of work to get the job in the first place, the secretary's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's trying to, like, talk to everyone. He's like, please, just let me come by the morgue. I'll come by the morgue and check it out. And they're like, no. Or he's, like, talking to one guy, and he's like, oh, come on, just let me, you know, do you have anything for me? He's like, I can't really talk right now. I'm off work right now. And he's like, well, let me know when you get back. And he's like, well, I'm going on sick leave. And they're just like, oh, thanks, man. They're just like, you can tell they're just trying to get rid of him. His boss, Phil's, coming over like, are you getting a story? And he's like, I'm working on it. I'm going to get one. And so he's stressing out.
Just treading water at this point.
Yeah, he's stressing out. And you can tell he's like, you know, the tie's starting to get looser and
his
all that.
His glasses are starting to fall further
Yeah.
down the nose.
And so then, after his, like, full day of sobriety, he goes back to the bar because he can't find any jobs and he's down on his luck.
That's the funniest part of this episode is this guy's been working for a full hour, I think, because the bartender says it's only 9 o'clock.
9 p.m.
Yeah, but doesn't he say it's only 9?
I think what he's saying is it's only 9 o'clock at night that you still have time for, that something could happen.
Okay.
Because like I think he has till like midnight or whatever to find something. And what most murders don't. I mean, they happen whenever, but I mean, I would imagine nighttime's a little more amped.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then right away he's like, pour me a drink.
Just when I need a good rip shithouse murder, is zilch going on?
Gotta keep at it. That's the way it goes.
Oh, you know so much about it. You keep at it.
Hey, Charlie, come on.
I'm telling you, I have been calling in favors right and left. Been listening on the police radio band, been to the morgue, the hospitals. Nada.
Charlie, it's only 9 o'clock.
Pour me a drink, Mike.
Charlie, I'm talking to you as a friend here. You got a chance to straighten out, to get back to work.
I am working. There's nothing the matter with me. There's just nothing going on right now.
The bartender, he's just like, all right, no. He's just like,
no, but
he's like, hear me out. He's like, you gotta get your crap together. This is not gonna work if you start drinking right now. How about you go get yourself a bowl of chili or a cup of coffee at this diner he knows of? And so he's like, all right.
he does what all drunks do when you tell him no. He throws a hissy fit
Yeah.
and storms out.
He throws a big fit, and he goes to this diner, and it's probably by now it's probably like 10 or something, and he's the only guy there. So he's at Nico's Grill. So he's reading the paper, trying to think of what he's going to do next to get this story, and he's at this diner, and it's pretty much like closing up kind of thing. He gets his order, and he's waiting for everything, and then the owner in the background talking about code inspectors always kind of trying to come in, trying to find a problem to shut him down and trying to get him fined, and he's loosely the owner just wants someone to talk to,
Right.
So he's just kind of like letting out all his feelings on Charlie, and Charlie's just like he's not really paying attention, but like he's reading the paper and just kind of whatever, and the guy's kind of greasy, and
he looks like that stereotypical immigrant from the 90s, like you see in one of the Ninja Turtles movies.
you'd be getting the pizza delivery from. So he's basically just talking whatever, like these code inspectors, or they'll kill you if you don't pay them off, because if not they'll shut down your restaurant. And all this stuff, and he's like, okay, great, cool. And so Charlie's like, can I just read my paper? And he's like, all right, whatever. So he heads in the back. I don't even know if Charlie really ordered much. I think he just got a cup of coffee. The owner of the restaurant's wife is in the back, and she's wanting to like leave and go do something or something, and you can hear him in the background calling her a dirty, filthy whore, and that she's not gonna go. And then they're kind of starting to get in a squabble, and Charlie's kind of paying attention a little bit more and more at a time.
You see him you can tell after he looks back down at his newspaper from staring into the back, he's not reading a damn thing.
No. And then you hear that the people in the back, you can't see it, you're just looking at Charles' face the whole time, but they're starting to get in a fight. You can hear that he's kind of hitting her, and then they're yelling at each other, and then there's this thud sound, and he's basically telling the woman she can't leave, and that she's staying in tonight. And then as soon as he hears the thud, Charles stands up and is like, is everything all right in there? Like, kind of looking back, starts to head back there, and you can hear the owner, he's pretty upset. So, I mean, I'll give him that. Like, at least he was upset. Like, he's got tears in his eyes, and he comes back, and he realizes he's killed her.
He doesn't just realize he's killed her. That's the first thing he says, which is kind of where I started laughing when I watched this, because I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, he was
really forthcoming with that information.
Yeah, he's really open to Charles with everything. He's just like, you got to pay off the code inspectors. I killed my wife, and all this stuff. And Charles is just like, oh, crap. And so he goes back and...
He's like Dom Irrera in The Big Lebowski when he's driving the limousine. I got a boil on my ass, but you know me, I can't complain.
And so Charles goes in the back, and you see this woman, and she's in a towel robe, and she's laying, and you can't see her face, and she's kind of rolled over to the side. And immediately I've seen this episode a couple times, but immediately I'm like, oh, I know who that is. Like, yeah. And she's laying there, and she's not moving, and her back is turned, and Charles is like, crap. At first he looks pretty stunned, and then he's immediately like, this is my story.
Yeah, you can see that light bulb appear over his head.
And I was like, geez, all right. So he immediately runs back out to Nico, and he's like, okay, you want to talk? Tell me what's going on. What happened? I know you just killed your wife.
Let your wife in there?
Leave me alone.
Come on, talk to me. Get it off your chest. What's your name?
Nico, Stavro.
So, what happened? What was the fight about?
I strangled her. She's been playing around. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had her followed by a detective. She's been picking up guys in bars, bums, and the winos, and screwing them. She just wanted to humiliate me.
He's just milking it like a vulture.
I know, like he's got his little pad of paper out and he's writing notes, and the guy's saying he's strangled his wife. She's been messing around on him, like going out at night and sleeping with other men, and she's not happy here. And I think she's probably a little bit younger than him, maybe not too much, but
She was just a waitress,
Okay, yeah,
and
so
he made her his wife.
yeah. So 2 years ago, she had come in. His wife wanted a job, and yeah, a month later after she started, I was like, that was quick. All right.
Yeah.
So a month later, after meeting her 2 years ago, they got married. And he seemed like he really did care for her. But every guy would flirt with her, and she would kind of flirt back. And I think she realized, like, I could probably have more fun without him, or, like, at least let him support me, and then I go have fun on my own. And yeah, so, I mean, he loved her, and he's just really upset. He got mad, and he strangled her.
She seems to think that she's got this arrangement with every guy she meets. You know, like she did with Charlie when they first got together.
Oh, are you letting out the cat out of the bag? We haven't figured out who it is yet.
Oh, nerds.
No, that's fine. Basically,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert for the next, 5 seconds. We'll find out here in a second. The lady is Vicky, the woman he's been sleeping with, which you kind of could tell anyway, like the way she's laying there and you can't see her face and everything like that. And so you're like, well, yeah, I know where this is heading. He says he's going to call the police.
Mm-hmm.
He's calling in the story. So he goes into the same room where the woman's killed, and he's trying to get Phil on the phone, and that's when you can see the woman is alive. She's starting to move. You still can't see her face.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising. And he's on the phone waiting for Phil to get to the thing so he can do the story or whatever. And this is where it's a little dark. So he's like, hang on, I'll call you back. He hangs up. And so this poor Nico guy thinks he's calling the police. But really, like I said, he's calling the story. And so he goes over to this woman, and he still hasn't...
Her hair's covering her face for all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, like he rolls her over, and then her hair's still in her face. So you still kind of don't know. And then she pulls it out of her face, and he sees her, and she's still alive. He's like, Vicky? And she's like, oh, crap. Hey, Charlie. So I think she's hoping he's gonna help her.
Yeah.
And she's immediately like, help me. And he's like, how could you do this to me? And he gets super mad because he realizes, she's been just using him, and he chokes her out.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was thinking. I wasn't sure that it would have mattered who was beneath the hair, because as desperate as he was in the state that he was in, I don't think whose face it was beneath that hair.
You think
really
he would have did
mattered.
it anyway?
Yeah, but I mean that's
yeah,
just
that's
coming
probably
from,
true.
Yeah, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, and in those kind of stories, it just doesn't really seem to matter.
I mean, he maybe would have hesitated a little more. I think the anger he had towards her helped.
Yeah.
Because he was able to just do it out of rage. But I think if it just would have been any woman, he probably would have been like, well, crap, I need this story.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
I gotta do this for me and Vicky's relationship, or
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, I think either way, it's just a little more macabre, the fact that he knows her and that she's kind of screwed him over. But really, it's only been 2 or 3 days, and what are the chances he would come into this diner?
Yeah.
The fact that it's only been 2 or 3 days that he's known her, and she just wanted it to be a simple thing they were doing, just not a big thing. But yeah, I mean, he had totally become smitten with her, and so he's choking her out, and poor Nico's having a panic attack in the other room. Yeah, so now he goes back, after he's choked out Vicky, Charles did, he goes in to call in the story.
This is Charles Mackenzie. Are you ready for my feed? Yeah, Charlie, go ahead. Good. Here goes. Inflamed by jealousy, a distraught Lomax Park man tonight squeezed the life out of his unfaithful wife while she laughed and taunted him. Nico Stavro, reported to be a Greek immigrant, had hired a private detective to follow his wife, Vicky, when he became suspicious that she had a lover. After he found out the details of her secret, sordid life, he flew into a rage and strangled her.
Okay, he's a Greek immigrant.
Ah.
I thought so with Stavro being his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he told Nico, I think, that he called 911.
Yeah, he said he was going to call the police, and...
Yeah, he was just like, I did it. So then Nico's just... I mean, I kind of feel for him, because it's like, he's just waiting to be arrested. He's just, like, sitting there.
Dude, come on, this is already the worst night of my life. Don't prolong this for me.
Yeah, he's like, come on. Yeah, so he's reporting everything in the story, and I guess someone on the phone is just typing everything he said.
Yeah,
Because I guess if you're getting... Because he's saying, like, he did an interview with the guy real quick. He's like, yes, he strangled her and all this stuff. And so I'm assuming if you really want to get a breaking story, whoever's there, which I guess, yeah, it's probably like 10:30 or something. Whoever's there just like, you know, and then they put it out immediately or whatever. So now it cuts back to him talking, and what you said, it kind of does look like an AA kind of thing. Very dark AA. There's like no light. And he's talking about, it's still showing him from like the shoulders up, and he's talking about how he's going to write a book about his stuff, and you start seeing that he says he's a crime reporter and a criminal. And I do like this part, because as it slides down, what's he wearing?
A straight jacket.
A straight jacket, because he's crazy. And it's funny, because he still has his suit, like his nice shirt and tie on.
Yeah,
under it,
I was
which is
just
weird.
about to ask about that.
Yeah.
Like, why is... Okay, one, how long's he been in there?
Yeah.
He disassociated super quick.
Yeah, is this like really like 2 days later? Like he's still in the same outfit? Because he's in a straitjacket and he's still got his little suit shirt and tie on, which I feel like that would maybe be like they would take the tie away. I would
You'd think so. But I guess when your hands are in a straitjacket, you don't have to worry about choking hazards so much.
Or that he would have like just like a t-shirt on or something. But
yeah.
So he's all wrapped up, and it's funny because he's like, yeah, he's talking about his story, and he's in this real dark room. I mean, I guess he's confessing, or it's supposed to just be maybe in his mind, or
maybe
because it's real, like it doesn't look anything like a hospital or anything like a padded room or anything.
It almost looks like an attic, so
yeah,
it could just be in his head.
And it's funny because the last thing he says at the end is he's like, I really need a drink.
Yeah.
Is what he said after all that.
Yeah, that's what you need, buddy.
So basically what happened is somehow they caught on to what he did, I guess, or maybe he admitted it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how you would catch it unless, I mean, they had DNA. They had DNA in the 90s, right?
Yeah, they had DNA. They've had DNA for
I know,
a
but
while.
I mean, I think like they were able to test it more in the 90s is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it like 70s, 80s when they started kind of doing that?
Yeah. And I'm sure like there would be some kind of inconsistencies in between what Nico said he did and what Charlie said he did.
But Nico said he strangled her, so I mean, if he strangled her too.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, they
just,
might have been
like,
able to
coming from
see...
an interrogation.
Yeah, they probably did like an autopsy or something, were able to see like, oh, at first she was okay, and then it looked like something else came and crushed her throat, or something.
Yeah, or like Nico just had her in like a half Nelson and choked her out that way.
And thought he killed her, and really he just like put her, she was just unconscious.
Yeah.
Because she really didn't look that, I mean, like bad. She wasn't bleeding or anything.
She looked fine.
Yeah, I think she would have been okay.
Yeah.
So somehow he got caught, and so he ended up being committed because of it, and now I guess he can't ever drink.
Yeah, unless he wants to do that prison booze.
Toilet wine?
Yeah, toilet wine, that's it.
Toilet wine.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's how the episode ends. It was really kind of interesting too, like when he did call in, because he was calling in the story, she came back, he came home, killed her, and then he immediately he was drinking alcohol while he was doing the phone call.
Yeah.
But he was very calm. He was just like, okay, yeah, here's the story I got. I'm like, wow, that was pretty calm. He's still gonna get that story. All right.
Yeah, that's. I did like how this had a lot of noir aspects to it, but I like that kind of crazed look he had in his face.
Yeah.
With all the sweat and the constantly licking his lips
and then he just was cleared his throat and was like, all right, I gotta make this phone call.
Yeah.
Like he was just ready to go. But yeah, it's a nice twist, the fact that this whole time he's been talking to you, he's been committed in a mental facility, and he's in this forced sobriety now. So yeah, so that was the end of the episode. There is no trivia for this episode that I found. This is the end of season 3, episode 12, Deadline. And so then it cuts back to the Crypt Keeper.
This was another part of me having never seen the show up until I was 29. He pours a beer. He goes to slide it off the bar, and then he grabs another one, and he goes to put like a shrunken head into it.
Yeah.
And the entire time, I'm just watching his hands fumble around the top of the glass trying to get the thing in.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, here he's getting ready to put a little shrunken head in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of fumble a little bit. I do love how much they do the puppetry of him is so good though, because I mean.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it takes multiple people to do him. Ooh, that's what she said. And yeah, so he's in there and he's throwing out his puns and Crypt Keeper, you're so punny. And the best Crypt Keeper pun is
Poor Charlie. I bet he wishes that he'd killed the story instead. Perhaps now they'll let him write for the paper's horoscope column.
He wraps up the episode there, making a drink, putting a little shrunken head in it, throwing beer glasses off the table, letting them crash. The next episode will be Season 3, Episode 13, Spoiled. I want to thank Tom for being on here today.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being on here. Yeah, it's been great. For all you guys out there, thank you for listening. If you want to reach me, you can email me at goodeveningpod@gmail.com. There's also a Patreon page, there's a Facebook page. I am now also on Twitter, and you can follow me at Gek Podcast, which is at GEK Podcast. I recently got accepted onto Spotify, so now I'm on Spotify,
Nice.
and I'm now moving to put episodes up on YouTube, so I already have some up on there now, so if you want to do that. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and have a good one.
I just had quite a scare. I actually thought my heart was beating again.